and it's a wonderful hosting you all. And as you guys know, today's roundtable focuses on the theme that leadership strategies for the future workforce and how AI is transforming learning and development. So in this session, we will explore how AI is reshaping learning ecosystems, and yeah, grateful to have you all. And I guess we can start the intros. I guess I can take it. Yeah.
Thanks, Trisha. Okay, let me start. I thought maybe let someone start, but then fair enough. My name is Manish. I'm taking care of learning development here with Vodafone Idea, OD, and DEI. And it's been good 18 long years with this organization, part of Aditya Birla Group, and it has been roughly 23 years in learning and development. And I am very excited to be here because to learn from by everyone here. I come from when I started first into learning and development, the world was still using transparencies and OHP, right? And most of you would not even know. Risha, have you heard of transparency? Yes, right. From there to classroom training to have seen the spread of e-learning, the adoption, the push strategy behind of the organizations, and what it would take and used to take, right? And with its pros and cons, e-learning could not be stopped. It grew to bite-sized learning, to mobile learning, just-in-time learning, app-based learning, gamification, right? Anytime, anywhere, specifically geographically spread organizations where L&D manager does not have to be. People are learning. To a new shift unheard of. We are just moving into science fiction, I feel. So that's me, and I'm excited to be here, a curious learner, and look forward to next couple of us. Thank you. Over to you, uh, Hemant, Pallavi, Aarti.
Thanks, Manish.
Harsh.
Yes, I'll go next.
Yeah,
Thanks for inviting, first of all, and good time to spend on a Saturday. So thanks, Rabbit team, Trisha, you had been following it up, and I think Harneet was there who connected with us, right? So I bring around 19 years of work ex, a techie, BTech 2005, MBA 2009 batch, and as everyone else, we've been learning through the roles. I've done gamut of roles: India, Pan Global, Middle East. I had been in L&T in Middle East couple of years. Best of the companies: Wipro, Accenture Consulting, ABN Kantar. Last 7-8 years, I've been into GCC setup. AI is making everything level playing field, so everyone is learning on the run. Organization is evolving, operating models are changing. So I think a good platform to have a discussion, understand the perspective, understand how we are solving the problems that are thrown to us. I think the key takeaway for me right now is that how the learning can be curated to hyper personalized requirement. People come to, at least in IT space, people come to bench and then I have to redeploy them at speed, at pace, and to meet the client requirement. I can train them, but then they have to be deployment ready, which means they have to be employable and execution has to happen. They're looking at prototype, they're looking at minimum viable products, they're looking at tech labs wherein they can do sandbox testing of whatever they have learned, right? I mean, you can train them on Databricks, Google Cloud Platform, and various other platforms. But a key takeaway or the currency is that are they deployable enough so that my billability, chargeability, and operating model is kind of on the run, sustainable. With all these gold and silver crashing tram thing happening. So there's a lot of geopolitical situation going around, pest analysis we do as part of MBA grads. But in this VUCA Bani world, how learning can be one enabler so that workforce, workplace, and the policies are curated to meet the requirements. Yeah. Over to someone next. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Hemant. Here, this is Pallavi speaking, and very thankful to Trisha, Harneet, and the entire team of Rabbitt and AI for inviting me on this wonderful platform where we all can learn from each other, as well as there's an opportunity for the people who will be attending this session online. So there's a shared learning culture. So by profession, I'm an L&D professional and a psychologist and an OD consultant, organizational development consultant, from the last 18 years now. And currently, I'm working at Bajaj FinServ, heading their CSR portfolio, which is the in-house skilling. Here, I'm in my individual capacity, considering the topic which is I'm very passionate about of L&D, and I really believe there's a lot of problem-solving kida in me, and that is from a very, very early stage. I had been into outdoor education. I had been an experiential educator right at a very early stage, and even I found my life partner there. So for me, adventure is one of the things that calls me very closely. And when I look at my life, I think one of the things that I really love doing is, finding out alternatives and looking at problem solving with a very pragmatic lens. So when I look at L&D space, I think there is a vast opportunity with this AI world coming in, with this new generation. And thanks a lot, Manish, for bringing the OHP and transparency. Starting from there to where we are today, I think there's a huge requirement where we kind of change our mindsets of learning, figure out new things, and support the people who are around us in a big way. So this is an enabling space, and I think we all have a good opportunity to learn from each other. Thank you so much. Over to Harshit or Aarti.
Hey, hi guys, I'll go next. So after hearing Manish, Hemant, Pallavi, the experiences which you guys hold, and if I talk about my experience, I guess it will be half of it till now. But I guess Trisha and Harneet have this panel according to that itself, where we can talk about Gen Z versus millennial experiences which we have, right? It's the talk of the town right now, which is Gen Z versus millennial. So where we can discuss and learn more about how Gen Z approaches L&D and how millennials approaches L&D, and what are the experience which you have and how the experience which I carry and how I take it further. So that is what we can discuss here, and we can experience each other's point of view itself. So I'm pretty much excited to learn from the so experienced leaders here out, and where we can discuss about millennials, Gen Z approaches, the L&D perspective basically. So yeah, pretty much excited, and thank you Trisha and Harneet for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Harshit.
I'll take it up, and this is for a change. Otherwise, my name has double A, so usually I'm the first one to go every time. So I like that I am the last one today. So thank you so much, Manish, for picking it up. So I think all of you are stalwarts, and thank you so much, Harneet and Trisha, for having me here today. Uh, I have about 19 years of experience in total. Primarily, my career started with healthcare operations. I'm a pharmacy graduate by qualification, so not and clinical. I did post-graduation study in clinical trials, and right now I'm leading the learning development, leadership development, and inclusion for R1 India. So not studied not doing what I studied for, but perhaps I found my passion on the way. I've been part of Genpact for over 16 years, and I led different roles, business operations, and then DNI and CSR. And then since last 3.5 years, I'm part of R1 RCM. And I think AI is a buzzword. Earlier this week, I had attended another conference, and the only word you hear which keeps echoing in your mind is AI, AI, AI. And that's what we hear internally as well. How are you enabling employees? How are you actually orchestrating the structure, and we have to create those hierarchical structure because not everyone needs to be intensely qualified and trained on AI. So still on that track, finding our pathways. And of course, I'm here to learn from stalwarts like Manish, Hemant, and Pallavi who've been in this. Sorry, Harshit, not discounting you. So there is no versus. I feel there is a lot to learn from each one of us. So thank you so much for having me here. Looking forward to hearing all of you.
Sorry for intercepting. Thanks, Aarti. Stalwarts, I don't know. Let me tell you about my state of mind, why I went in first and introduced myself, because Harneet was not around that time. Let me take this opportunity. And
You did it, otherwise I was going to. I am by default, my mind is trained to go first because I'm double A. So if you didn't do it, I would have done it myself.
I thought एक बार हरनीत इंट्रोड्यूस कर लेंगे अपने आप को तो फिर तो मैं मतलब हम लोग नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो पहले बोल दो, वो है नहीं तो.
Yeah, the biggest stalwart is yet to introduce himself. That's true.
Nothing like that. So thanks a lot, everyone, for sharing your intros, and thanks a lot for all the love you've shown on the group and here itself. So I'll quickly set the context about why we are doing, and also about our introductions. So first of all, so if I tell a bit about myself, that why we are doing this. So I started my journey as an entrepreneur itself outside IIT Delhi, and my first company, which gave me, I'll say, the debut in this world, was into the education learning assessment space only, where nobody was kind of funding us that time, a decade and a half back, when people said, Haneet, you're a smart guy, go in finance and make your career over there. Why are you wasting your life in L&D and education and upskilling? It's not even a market where you should be there. And that's what all my advisors that time told me, right? Because I was equivalently getting an offer, big offer outside IIT in e-commerce or finance, which is typically where, or consulting, typically where IITians go. So I'm like, fine, but what we have seen during our placements, hiring, and even in our education, can we change something with technology? So that's how it all started. And our first innovation was role-based assessment, skill-based assessments, where everyone was serving one shoe fit all assessments, that any technical role, basic algorithmic assessment, or otherwise aptitude assessment. So we're like, can we be the ones who are using technology to build personalized assessments much before AI was a buzzword, AI was a hype, right? So, and nobody was talking about this. So we went to US, created our first company called as Tech Curators, and got few customers, got few universities, created we can say we were in B2B space, so we used to white label, but we can say we were one of the very first companies to build an AI-powered LMS in 2015. So where, and you license it to various people, and that's where our journey started. Bootstrapped that company to 100 CR, and then everyone who was refusing to fund us, they came back and they said, we want to be an angel, we want to be an investor, we want to be a partner. So I'm like, now the game is too late. So then I found another company in COVID time, which we could not scale that much. That was an interview platform, just like Zoom, because ambitions were higher. So we kind of chased that, again, majorly in the education space, more for interviewing and coding interviews specifically. तो अब जज्बा बड़ा हो गया था, तो हमने कहा सीधा Zoom से पंगा लेते हैं. We just started, like, oh, Zoom meet, and this is there, so why not? We can't build it. So a little bit more ambitious, but market was up and down, 2020, 2021, 2022. So we made good stuff during high tide, but then we realized it's not the company we could scale big, because the infra cost and all, but we found a company where we could sell it. And the only company I could not scale much is the one which gave me a lot of liquid money. So irony of life, right? The companies which are giving money, we're still running, we're still grinding. So anyways, so that's where we were a little bit sold one company, bunch of co-founders were a bit free, and we thought, what's the next challenge we should take upon? And that's where I founded Rabbitt AI in London. And we said, what's the problem with AI which we could solve? And that's the problem. We said that there are three problems with big AI. I call it big AI, which is large language models, ChatGPT, Perplexity, right? All these guys. That is number one, it's not accurate to your tune. right? It's not domain specific, and it does not care about you. It has to satisfy everyone, right? It's a large language model. So number one, it's the accuracy and domain specificity. Number two, it's not yours. You don't own your data, right? Because whatever you are sharing is, if you are a company who's building an L&D strategy, if you are a university who's doing proprietary material, you really can't say that I only own it, right? Someone like a Pearson, if they give their proprietary research papers or textbook material to train the AI to answer well, but then it's there for everyone. So how do they license them? So that was a problem. You don't own your data. And third is you don't own your AI. Again, the same thing, that if your employees and you yourself spent a lot of time prompting your version of GPT and making it really, really well working for your organization, you don't own a share of it, right? Because that can anytime, you don't predictably own that. So these three problems were majorly prevalent in big sectors which can't really use LLMs but want to use, and those sectors were healthcare because of sensitive data. Another sector was defense, and to some extent education as well, because they want to own a university which is using it to create questions, an organization, a certification organization which is using AI to deliver tests, don't want their AI to be shared by someone else. So we came up with this tagline of own your data, own your AI, and that's why at Rabbitt AI we created kind of world's first SLM, small language model. We figured out a technology that rather than taking data to the place where your model is, we take the model to the place where data exists. So what that means is we compressed, in layman terms, we compressed the large language models, made it very domain specific. If it is education, it knows education. If it is of mathematics, it knows mathematics. If it knows about steel industry, it knows about steel industry. And it is guardrailed around other things. It is having some private data, and then it is hosted on your cloud. It is hosted on your device as well. So that edge technology we built. And that's where the name Rabbit also came from. We said when all these guys are the lion, you can't tame a lion, but you can tame a rabbit. So Rabbit, you can have it in your device, have it on your premise. And we went viral in Europe as one of the top 10 startups of London in 2023, raising funds from big tech as well. We said that big is no longer beautiful, small is soothing. So it's better to go small with AI. And that's where small language models became our identity. And essentially that's how we are growing Rabbit. And when we traveled the world with taking Rabbit's technology to various places, one of the problems we realized was, I got asked this question a lot of times, which is also true for a lot of enterprises, for a lot of application-oriented people, because this was all for very niche companies and maybe in labs at very high scale and very high costs. But what works on real ground is very, very different. So I got reminded of this poem, right? When we traveled the world taking this technology, people said that similar to, if you would have heard water, water everywhere, all the boats did shrink. Water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. So similarly, the situation of AI was AI everywhere, not an AI that works. AI everywhere, where are all the perks? So that's what people were questioning. And we thought that even sharing insights, bringing experts together to see which is an AI that works, which is an AI that's fluff, what kind of things are fluff, what is tough, what should we do? We are very early in this age. The dust has not yet settled. And if we bring together professionals, we can together co-create some things for the country, for the community. And one of my missions then became to put India on the AI map. And just to tell a quick story. So with AI, we served one of the international defense organizations to improve their vision language models for Navy, where we were able to achieve 97% accuracy. That means that they don't need to send soldiers underwater in submarines to actually defuse naval mines, right? And that project became hit. That's where even DRDO called us, Indian government called us. They're like, you look like an Indian guy. What are you doing for them? I'm like, same question back to you. So we started working with the defense. Can't disclose much what we are doing, but doing some great stuff with the defense in India, majorly using AI to save soldier lives. So that again instilled that mission. When we got that medal, when we got that award, it instilled that mission that AI for learning, AI for Bharat, AI for upskilling became not honestly telling, right? Everybody says that, but I guess 2 years back when I got that medal, it became more of a theme. And then after that, I got an award from Oman, from Australia, and a couple of other governments as well, me and my organization. But majorly, then most of the times, wherever we go, we are propagators of AI for India, AI for Bharat, and AI from India. The biggest thing is AI from India. And that's where we created this forum. And I also got elected as the chairman of APAC chairman of the AI World Organization. So वो सोने पे सुहागा हो गया. And I'm like, yeah, what I wanted to do as voluntary, that kind of became my KRA as well, that we collect the industry experts, we share insights, we take their insights, and we do some real stuff on the ground. So I speak a lot. Sorry for that. But yeah, this is a bit background about myself and this forum itself. We do a lot of events, and this one is particularly a precursor, online one precursor to the L&D and upskilling summit, which is happening in Singapore on 28th of May. So happy to invite you there as well, along with other industry experts. So a lot of experts from APAC region and Europe region are coming. And at the AI World Org, we have our largest events in Europe, Amsterdam, then Singapore, India, also in Delhi and Bangalore we have, and Dubai and London. So these are the places where the communities assemble and they discuss their physical summits, their roundtables, and then there are online webinars like this. So that's the quick background, and I'll quickly jump to the agenda very fast. And as I shared, like, we will first start with maybe some specific problems which are there, which are a gold mine to solve for, or very, very pressing problems to solve in the L&D that people are not looking at, because we understand everybody has solutions, right? So one of the theme is that, can we highlight right problems? What is exactly today? And these problems could be, let's say, if we keep in mind large scale transformation, right? And in an industry, we have all demographics of people. When you look at L&D, you have blue collar worker, you have white collar worker, you have people who are scared their jobs will go away with AI. You also have people who are very smart self-starters in AI, right? And keeping into mind the demographics of the country and the organizations you work with, if you can really lay down the problems which are there to be solved, and if those can be solved in the L&D space, it can be really, really good for employee upskilling and organization upskilling. So, or, if you can also share some instance of L&D yesterday versus L&D today. How this function is being looked upon earlier and how it is being looked upon today, because you guys are from the industry, so you know it better. So maybe this time I'll start with Aarti. Yeah, your name.
You didn't have to do that. That was the cue.
Okay. Maybe if you can outline, Aarti, specific, problems in the L&D space and how the field is entirely changing, some crisp points. We can build upon that from there.
See, I think with Instagram Reels and everything coming in, the attention span, as we know it, has reduced to maybe less than 30 seconds. So if you, and that's the new age of learning, right? We are moving away from those intense workshops, which actually used to take like 3 days, 4 days. And I'm not saying that that's diluted. There is still value. It holds a certain value. But and probably, that's the difference. The young crowd and millennial population, Gen Z population, who we are really catering to at our organization, you need to grab them and create such content which, we're trying to create new solutions every day, trying to find out new solutions every day. How can we gamify this? Even the onboarding experience right now, what we are working on is how can we gamify the onboarding experience, where we introduce our organization in a gamified form and have our leaders speaking in, so that we're not blocking any leaders' calendar as well, but we are giving the same view to the people who are joining our organization. So, all these things are absolutely new. When I had started back in 2007, these didn't exist. I had gone through a 4-day onboarding experience at Genpact, and I'm not saying that that's irrelevant. But now everything is that getting moved to a different fast-paced sort of environment. As I said, now we are catering to different hierarchies, different levels, and we are trying to create different solutions for every level. While all associates We have all these options for senior leaders. We're trying to curate experience which is aspirational to reach to, and that's why we have tie-up with many universities like IIM Bangalore and other Kellogg's and other universities, just to give them that aspiration that they're studying and they're getting that certification from a reputed and recognized university. Having said that, the challenge which I feel, and I feel it's a perennial challenge, how do you create that pull for learning? Which doesn't come naturally. Like, you can run campaigns, you can do what's in it for me sort of communications, you can associate awards and recognitions, but still there is so much push we have to do from our end that we don't see that uptake. You can purchase tons and thousands of content and it can be added on your e-learning portal, but how do you actually get the horse to the water? You can't make them drink it. So that is something which I want to find a solution to. How are other people doing it, and has something really worked? That is something which I want to learn.
Really interesting. I guess that's a problem on the table. If I move to Hemant, from your POV, specifically on the IT upskilling side, which is you run an IT organization, right? The L&D for an IT organization. So how is it changing specifically with so many technologies coming in? How are you able to keep, pace with that? How are you able to take horse to the water if you are, or what are your specific challenges?
So see, there are few things which are still the basics, and that has to be intact. So L&D has to be an enabler. Learners there has to be a pull factor than a push factor for the learner. Unlike the best of sports professional, wherein they practice for 48 hours and then they go for a match for 2 hours, or an army man who will be practicing day in, day out, doing their same drill, repeat mode, 1,000 shots, same ball, the professionals don't do, the typical IT professional don't do, including us for that matter. Even an L&D org will not be, we ask a simple question: when was the last time you learned something new for the first time? And the answer is point blank, nothing. I mean, I have not seen people learning. So at least I walk the talk. So 18, 19 years, 8, 9 companies, 5, 6 different roles across the geography. In India, I spent around 17 states tangible time. Across the globe, I spent tangible time. So the learning has to be there as a way of life, and learning can't be that you put them into some classroom or a course, ELT, VILT, virtual instructor-led trainer, e-learning module. All these are methods in the madness, but the pivotal fact is that the learner has to be at the center, and then the business has to be at the center. I mean, whatever we are doing, the end goal is my top margin, bottom margin has to be intact. I am supposed to be profitable if I'm running a profitable company, and learner has to be taking the charge of the learning. Now the remaining things remain, that how do you gamify the entire stuff, how to make this thing that this is important for you. I mean, the simple question they will ask, what's in it for me? So you can start recognizing those behavior which will make them understand that yes, I'm on the right track, I'm doing the right stuff. Can be the leadership board, can be that you're rewarding, recognizing the same stuff, can be 5% I'm tagging that to my appraisal. So whatever hike you'll get, you'll not get 5% if you've not completed these training. There are, I mean, carrot and stick model that you can try. But at the end of the day, the guys who are moving up the value chain faster as high performing and high potential candidate, we try to do some simulation, some data modeling, some career velocity, mapping. And we tell that these are your high flyers, so these are your not so great. So there are leaders and there are laggers. And why they are leaders, we try to decode that behavior and try to tell others that they are ahead of the curve because of these behaviors. So we do this communication more often than not. So we don't hide that. I will not tell who is my hypo or who are my people bet. We call that out, we celebrate that. And this is what we have learned, that at least in last companies like AB InBev, another Bush InBev, it's a beer co brand, all Budweiser, Corona, Excess. So they had this dream people culture as a core ethos. And then they said talent moves at the pace of their own merit. So even if my reportee is more superior to me, more learned, more sharper, he will grow faster than me. So I can't be a bottleneck that, I am senior manager, so he can't become manager and above. He can outcast me if he has the metal and if he's learning and on the the run. So people can keep moving every 2 years. And typically in consulting org, no, you'll have 15 years to reach from analyst to partner. So it's a marathon, but at the same time, there is a runway of 15 years. You have to be there by the time you're 40. So that's the way we try to make it more aggressive.
Got it. Perfect. Manish, if I come to you specifically for the telco industry and the various kind of demographics you would have. So what kind of L&D challenges you feel as an industry and in your experience, which are there, maybe perennial or maybe very specific to the AI age?
Sure. Thanks, Neet. First of all, I am not representing my company. All my views are on my own.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of they have got accumulated in terms of how I have from my eyes seen the world is same, but different eyes would see it differently. Right. Now, in terms of the challenges, of course, the L&D faces, which is common, bit of push, bit of pull, the disconnect with the business, what the L&D wants to push, the business wants a different thing to be driven or for their team members to learn. By the time L&D realizes, okay, if this is your problem, let's work something out around it. You develop the content, figure the course out, businesses move to something different, right? And the other thing is employees in today's world are left with no breathing space, multiple priorities, multiple KPIs, right? Huge expectations. Abhi, Hemant said, if you're not there by that age, means you're finished. And that left me wondering, you can't even let the employee be. You can't even seriously. A 55-year-old a manager in America is respected, but here he'll be kicked out. If he is doing 55-year-old manager who still does coding in US, but he's very good in his integrity, knows the work, nobody will touch him. In India, organizations will throw him out. You're still a manager, right? So just let the person be, right? So when there is hardly any time to, from which an employee is left with business, you ask him to learn. Where is it time to learn? How is he going to learn? And to add to it, when COVID came, it was the death of classroom. Suddenly the digital trainings and mushrooming of this narrative, okay, learning on the go, bite size, micro, this, that, right? So those are the problems. But the real problem, and which I am going to be talking about, is during the COVID, we went into complete digitalization. We had the world's best LXP, right? World's best, right? And we introduced digital learning heavily and ensured everybody has done 2-3 courses or something. But when we had the ESOP survey done, when we had the ESAT survey done, we scored very poor in terms of learning.
Okay.
Because everybody had learned digitally, spent hours there, but they still felt learning to who I knew. We had to introduce back our classroom sessions. Now, digital is minuscule, right? Are we designers of AI also taking into cognizance that people are suffering with digital fatigue today? Much digitalization. The very fundamental we are going against. Learning has been and is a social phenomena. Right from the childhood, we are programmed to learn that way. A digital learning is against the adult learning principle. To good extent, we may have, and you may have justifications, but then that's the check, because you, Harneet, are designing future, are taking the world to the future. And if we can address that element, I think it would be great. Because,
Yeah.
because, you know, as per adult learning principle, when the adult gets into the class, that is when he wears the hat of the student.
Yeah.
अदरवाइज तो हम एडल्ट हैं, हमारे पास तो सवाल ही नहीं है, सबके जवाब हैं. जब आप क्लासरूम में आते हो, सडनली यू आर पुल्ड बैक इनटू द सेम ओल्ड चाइल्डहुड कि अच्छा अब मैं सीखने आया हूँ आज, और आप सीखने लगते हो.
Right.
And this explains why schools and colleges got reopened after COVID, right? Because online से तो हो रहा था. अभी मैं एक डिजिटल कंपेनियन लेके चल रहा हूँ, सारा टाइम मैं उससे पूछ रहा हूँ. And I think while it will certainly solve certain areas, it will create many more problems. And I would want to talk about those problems which it will create.
Interesting. No, very valid point, Manish, because when we as system designers and you guys as implementers, we design it, sometimes we don't take into consideration the after effects, right? Of, as you said, like, if I summarize the problems from everyone, it is, connecting L&D to business goals, as Aarti you mentioned, maybe also the speed, which, the business moves on to the next thing, as Manish, you were mentioning. And also this learning pull, and why, I guess what you said, the learning pull is missing. Maybe Manish's problem is somewhere highlighting that as well, that there's fatigue, there's too much availability, too much push, too much structure, which we are kind of pushing the organizations of today. And somewhere there are some side effects, there are some byproducts, that every learning, every training is treated very in a push-driven manner. Somebody has to push, somebody really has to incentivize. I feel there needs to be a balance. Some hybrid approach needs to be there. And then with growing size and newer methods available and digital means, we have to go phygital, right? Physical plus digital. But the right balance is something I guess nobody has an answer to yet. But I have a very interesting case study, Manish, which probably I'll share towards the end, where we were developing an adult learning assessment to figure out the learning style of few people basis some personality heuristics, and basis the learning style, they're exposed to different types of learning, right? So there could, even within one thing is, you can say Gen Zs are more bite-sized and adults want classroom, and the mid guys maybe want a self-learned and incentive and appraisal linked to that. That is a typical stereotype, I would say, very binary or a ternary classification. But there could be more complex classification by using AI to analyze your personality and matching you to the learning style of your personality. So we've done a very interesting experiment with Australian schools and colleges to give students a personalized learning path basis their personality. So similar research we are doing on an adult learning test. Maybe I'll share the takeaways later on, and happy to collaborate because we are doing that research. But coming back, I guess there needs to be, before pushing a solution, there needs to be a question that why do we need that? Do we even need that? And then what is the best way, and who's the best person, and what's the best style? And then maybe how do we measure it, and how do we iteratively improve it, right? So coming to the next part, I guess somewhere we've highlighted problems. There is few set of universe of problems. I'll probably go to Pallavi and then Harshit, right? On some solutions, right? Which you see are working. Some case studies of population scale transformation. It could be tactics, it could be strategy, right? Tactics is, some small hacks where, this kind of works for this kind of demographics, this kind of problem statements, or some very well-carved strategies picked up from analogies from anywhere, that what is actually working on the ground, what is actually really helpful for the organizations of tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Harneet. And very interesting insights from Manish, Aarti, and Hemant, indeed, to set a real context of the challenges that we see in the L&D space. if I look at this question and the solution, I would like to break it into three parts, Harneet. For me, I think the macro level challenge, if I look at the industries that we all are, and here these views are so personal. I'm also, kind of making it clear, like Manish, that these are personal to me and how I think. And it's so important that at a hiring level, if I look at big industries, where are the layoffs happening today? It is at the entry level in a big way because the automations have come in. Now, if I look at the college students who are actually getting, a good amount of education, they are learning, they are having good scores, 80, 90% possibly, which means typically एक अच्छा बच्चा graduate होके निकला है मेरा. That's a typical social phenomenon in India कि कुछ नहीं तो graduation तो कर ही लेगा, right? And from there, the struggle starts when the middle class families are still not able to see employment, and they are struggling. And you see there are these auto drivers, there are people, who are actually shopkeepers, and with due regards to all these professions, what I mean to say is that somewhere something is not working because industry requires a talent, and I am not able to fit in their language or in their description of what that talent is, and hence I am having a constant struggle. So it's very important to bridge up this gap between what the, I would say, academic education is all about versus the industry education. And that bridging up is done severely, whether through induction programs, lot of training programs and all. But what I see in the last 10 years possibly working with different organizations is that yes, people recognize this, and this is very important. This is the first step, recognizing that. Second one is, yes, it is challenging. And how do we make up for it? So there are hybrid learning programs that have been designed which supports these students, all these young learners, I would say, who are just getting into their professional, life, and help them. And if I really talk about the second level here is that it's just not about giving them the right skills. It is also about helping them deal with the life situations that you are going to face. Because जब एक graduate होता है, college में होते हैं, तो आपका friend circle is all your peer groups, but when you go to a company, you see people who are, maybe 10 years older than you. There are people who are younger than you. You are, and your identity is all about who you are. First time they're seeing somebody who's younger than you, hey, hey, which are very official appearance. Now that youngster is really kind of look at this entire gamut. I think it's very important to make these people ready with life-changing situations, how to deal with them, and that part comes through the social learning that Manish was talking about. How aware I am of myself. Am I really aware कि मैं कौन हूँ? As a person, what I bring in, what are my strengths, or these are copy pasted. And the biggest fear that I see of the digital learning space is somewhere I'm having a pretension that I'm learning, and not every time. Again, I'm saying most of the time there can be a pretension because जो validation tools है वो बहुत ही myopic है, at least in India today. And because of that myopic approach, it can be a threatening tool. However, having said that, I do understand there are lots of spaces which are now widening, and with AI coming in, things are strengthening. But the right kind of modeling, role modeling has to be done in that space, which I think everyone is struggling. I think most of us are struggling with. And to just, kind of add on to how Manish was putting it, challenge hai, because if I was just going back, Manish, when you said the last classroom, I was in ISB Hyderabad 2 years ago, and I could recollect only that as a learning experience. But am I learning on a daily basis? Yes, to some frequency, what Arati or Hemant was referring to. However, it is hard. The adult learning principles also kind of focuses. What it means is that we have to revisit really that do we understand AI in the true spirit? And what it means is that शायद मुझे वो पूरा पता नहीं है. I need to learn a complete, I need to unlearn certain things in that and learn something more. So unlearning भी उतना ही important है, because it's a belief system ना कि ऐसे ही पढ़ाया जाता है. But that's not the case. Now, if I look, the third interesting part here in all of this is what is changing is because we are a nation with the second largest or the first largest now possibly the population, we know that हमारे पास जो talent pool है वो बहुत ही rich है. We have to start saying that with pride. We don't have to say it's a burden, it's a pride, and we believe that. Now if we believe in that, then the question is, how do we upskill them in the right manner? So I think there are platforms, there are ways in which every company is doing. Possibly there are induction programs which are designed, but there are three things one has to really look at. One is, why are we learning? So Hemant said that how to bring the pull factor. I would say, even if it's a push factor, Hemant, I'm saying answer the why. Pull or push, answer the why. Why do I want to learn? Can I make it very personalized to myself कि मुझे करना है? क्योंकि in my school days, even if I didn't like the tables, I have to mug up the tables, right? Now that if that why possibly comes up later, because now I'm not in a school, I'm actually a 22, 25 or 30 years old adult, my why is my starting point here. And then the question of pull and push really comes up. So whatever learning boards or the learning journeys the companies create, they come with that intention that who are the people who are hungry for learning. Businesses ka alag requirement hai. Lekin, can we bring curiosity in the learning spaces that we develop? It is the curiosity factor that is a differentiator that will change the game, the way we look at things. Second is to give them a vision and a big picture. Many times, because the big picture is missing, people don't have time and people don't prioritize themselves. If it's a big picture, things change rapidly. And the last important thing is the combination of triple H. I say it's a 3H theory in my simple ways. It is the head, heart, and hands together. That means that my heart should say yes, that I want to do it. My head should be aligned to my heart, and I should always be noting things whenever I see something important coming up. So even kinesthetically, I'm active there. So all these three H's, when combined together, as a learner, I'm an active learner. So that and I don't need a validation then. Really. I would need a validation to a 5-10% times, but not really, because I'm practicing what I'm saying, and I'm also kind of creating an ecosystem for myself where I learn, and I also create a space for myself where I role model learning in my own teams, in my own ecosystem, whether I am a part of a business team, whether I'm a part of a sales team or a collections team, wherever I am, I'm known for what I carry within me. So these were a few of the points I'll need from my side. Over to you.
I guess very well summarized, and I'll probably take the liberty to reuse this 3H theory that very well summarizes how we think about it. And probably it's also, I guess, as a trainer, because I also train a lot of CXOs. As a trainer, when I go and train someone, so the other day I was training some government officials, right? Some of them, and I was probably half the age of some of them, but some of them, after 10 minutes into the session, they pulled out a notebook, which was not a mandate because they were very senior officers, right? And started writing. And after the session, in the break, they came to me and then they said, we want to note this down. Can you repeat that tool? Can you repeat that strategy? I guess when you see, as a trainer also, this same theory applies when you see someone involved in your training, involved in your learning strategy with their heart, head, and hand. And I guess hand is something which you can observe with naked eyes, right? That if someone consciously starts writing without given a prompt or cue or without being a mandate, somewhere they are finding it interesting, they're finding it usable. And that brings me to a very interesting point I want to add to here. So one of the things when we were building, Rabbitt AI's LMS and Rabbitt AI's assessments for L&D, so when we were interviewing a lot of experts across the globe, that what should we put in this new AI age, learning mechanism. So one of the things which people said that, and then this was a Kabir Doha which people recited to me. जैसे काम परे हर सिमरी है. What that means is, लोग तो भगवान को भी काम पढ़ने पे याद करते हैं. People remember God only when they have a need. So can you design your system like when people need, they come here as an assistant, as a buddy? So we created Bunny AI series of models in Rabbitt AI, which is always there for a learner. And what it does is, for example, if you are 2-year experience or 1-year experience software developer was just joined and you don't know how to deploy your software, how to do a PR merge. So at that very time they go to there, they get recommended to a learning course and very quick answer. With AI that's possible. And then probably they get recommended to a learning journey which they can get and get a badge or get a certification for being certified in DevOps, beginner level. Or similarly, when you are stuck. So basically, what we realize is pull versus push, Aarti, which what you were saying is, if you really are there for the people when they need it. Today, let's say I am getting a training on cybersecurity and world's best people come and train me, I will not pay heed to that. But when, let's say, 10,000 rupees get deducted from my phone and, or my phone stops working, and then I will apply, I'll call everyone, I'll apply all those strategies which I need to know, and then I'll realize the importance of learning. So basically, what I believe is, if we link the learning process to some or of course it's not always possible, but some immediate gratification, and in the tech world it's very well possible. Similarly, I'll give another example or case study what we did for one of the fintechs, one of the banks. So they're salespeople, they have feet on street, almost they have 700 to 1,000 salespeople who are going in various states and showcasing the insurance and loan policy. And these are majorly southern states. And their product team, as usual, sits out of Bombay, which designs very interesting insurance policies. But the sale, and then they train the sales team, right? That this is what you need to go and sell, and that was never effective. With what we created as an AI chatbot for them, which is integrated to their WhatsApp in their vernacular language, specifically for languages, Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, and one more language. So when they are talking to customer, they can send a voice note to this WhatsApp, and it fetches the right kind of policy document then and there itself. And it is an example of learning on the go, from learning on the go to application on the go. And then when these sales guys see that what is the most policies which are being used by their customers, or which are the loan products, or which are the FD products which are most used by their customer, and that sales guy is probably earning 12,000, 15,000, and his entire journey or motivation depends on the incentive which they earn. So when they see that, they using this WhatsApp bot and learning from it is leading to last month they are earning 12,000, this month they are earning 15, next month they are earning 17. Somewhere there's an initial and population scale pull which comes from the audience itself. And then the L&D has a lot of data to design, okay, we divide it in 4 cohorts, we do this training to them, this training to them, and then it can be decided whether it has to be physical or digital, or we take them to the ground, or we send our people to the location. So something which I have seen personally, if I share my insights, linking it to the cause and linking it to some instant gratification. And this is, I guess, that's where I'll move to Harshit as well, to share your views on this, because plus your own experience. Because with Gen Zs, and specifically for the newer generation, even the teams I run, I'm responsible for training my people as well. So what I see is, if they don't see an immediate return of what they're learning, at least if I quantify it, at least within next 3 to 4 months, they'll say it is useless. Then it's just like their college or university education, right? But in industry, they really expect, we learn this, and we probably we learn negotiation today, we apply it tomorrow, and probably crack a deal which is worth 1 CR, right? That is how a fresh MT management trainee would think like. So Harshit, your views on the trends and the solutions and what's working with today's generation?
So as you rightly mentioned, Neet, that in the Gen Z space, in today's world, they are very much, as Aarti also mentioned, that in the Instagram world, that there is the time span, the screen time is just 40 seconds and 30 seconds for a reel, right? So they are not into those 4 days, 5 days of learning. They don't want to learn basically for that long period of time. They want to move as soon as possible. So for them, it's a very fast paced learning which they want to be in, right? So the thing is, which I also observe with the people out there, especially when I talk to people about AI, they don't really know what exactly AI is. Right? If I talk about the percentage, only I guess 30 to 40% of people know what exactly AI is and how it can be helpful for them. But the rest of the people is just using AI. But I can say is what I can say is in a layman term is jugaad AI. So what they do is they just want to do their work as soon as possible, especially the Gen Z people. They will just give the prompt to the AI, the work will be done, and they will show it to the managers. That's it. That's how they're taking it AI as, but they don't really know what AI can do and how it can helpful for them, especially in terms of their skills, their upskilling, and the stuff, right? So when I talk to them, I really tell them that, guys, it's not the AI can replace human. It will not take your jobs, but it just you have to upskill yourself to be enabled with AI. So that is something which we need to make sure in the people and the workplaces which we have right now, especially the Gen Z people. We need to make sure that they should be aware that how AI is useful for them. They can't just go ahead and use the prompt and the work is done. That's not how the thing should be, because of these issues they are not learning the methodologies, they're not learning the work, they're not learning the skills. It's just they are doing work and they are moving ahead. So it's not the right way. So the thing which I do with my team here is I make them learn the AI. Basically, when I go ahead and I talk to them, I make them use AI. That okay, you cannot use this prompt and it can. So what I do is I deep dive with them. So let's suppose I assign them a task, right? And then they give him a task. Then I ask them that what exactly you did. What was the prompt engineering you did here? Because the Gen Z terms and the words they use is kind of this only, prompt engineering. They call it as a prompt engineering. So when I was in my previous organization as well, so I'll tell you an example or tell you a case where it happened was they were having a kind of workshop, AI enabled workshop. So that workshop was all about prompt engineering. And trust me, there were people, middle-aged people, senior leadership, and the Gen Z people. And when the score came out for that particular workshop of prompt engineering, the Gen Zs were not close to the senior leadership. They were not even close because they don't even know how to use prompts. I'll give you a very recent examples. I told my one of the fellow member to write an email to me, and that person just went ahead, opened the Gmail, and then in the Gmail there's an option of writing email, right, which is AI enabled.
Yeah.
So you just write an email and it will give you the whole prompt, the whole email, and the work is done. It will hardly take 10 seconds. That's how the people right now, the Gen Z right now, are using AI. So that is an issue as well, but I'll say it's more of an issue than doing the work. It's not efficient. You can call it as an efficiency, but it's not efficient in the right way. So that is being there. So when I read that email, I can get that, right, that this is not written by that person, because when I talk to that person, the words language with that person uses is totally different from that the mail. So yes, so that is there. And so we need to maintain those transparency with them, that AI is not just this. For this, AI can be helpful, and how it can be helpful, you should be aware of it. So upskilling should be there, and how we are making them upskill is a part of it. Because right now, which I think and which I observe is Gen Z doesn't want to learn. They don't want to learn. They just want to move ladders and ladders.
Yeah.
They just
Mostly
want
with everyone, as Manish is
right,
saying, that's a
right,
problem.
ex-
Even the magnitude could be different, but
right,
mostly with everyone, right? People want outcomes without putting in the right kind of input.
exactly,
And learning always falls on the input side, right? Got
right.
it. Perfect. So I'll shift gears a bit and probably move to another interesting and very relevant question, which is how do we measure effectiveness of our training programs today? And can AI be used over there? That's a food for thought, but the factual answer, which I probably you guys can add, it could be different for different people. It could be personal, it could be across organizations. What's your accumulated knowledge? But how do we measure the? I won't say ROI. ROI is a smaller term for me, It's a subset of effectiveness. Effectiveness could be my learner is happy, they became deployable, there is business benefit coming out of this. There's delight, learner delight, which is coming out of it. They want more of the learning, right? They feel more confident. So there are in effectiveness, I'm considering the subjective things, improvements, and objective improvements as well. So how are we measuring, or what are the ways to actually measure the effectiveness of training programs? Let's go with Hemant. You want to go for this, or
Sure, I can go. In fact, this is the favorite debate we keep having with the CEO. And yesterday, only a couple of companies, I don't want to name them, but then they were implementing LLMs, SLMs, and Tech Academy is one of the learning platform. Tech Stack is another one that we are contemplating beyond the big ones, which is Skillsoft and Cornerstone. But I asked the same question that you have. So I agree to whatever Manish said, whatever Aarti said on those pointers about different industry and perspective. It's not like that one single way is there to grow, like 15 years career path for everyone. That's not one size fit all. It depends on the industry, depends on the persona. It's completely okay not to be a manager. You can be an SME, you can be an architect, and you can do that for 30 years. No one is stopping you from doing that. So I didn't want to debate cross question those pointers, but the intent is that there's no one size fit all solution. Coming to ROI on learning, I keep throwing this question to everyone. Everyone comes that, I have 7,000 odd course modules, I have 20,000 odd course modules. Udemy has partnered now with Coursera, they're merging, and no one can beat these companies on content. So that's not the unique value proposition, or that's not this is common denominator now, So that's level playing field. What will stay out of, or what will make you stand out is learning is, content is the king and context is the kingdom. So I was writing the post of whatever we are talking right now, and I thought I'll get some traction on YouTube. But what I was trying to write is contextualization. A lot of degree certificates you will get, but ROI is actual implementation, actual delivery, actually getting the role or the business that we wanted. So if say NVIDIA is getting into GPUs, we can understand those LLM terms, GPUs, CPUs ka cost versus, lease versus owning those things, or RAG, that how do you do those proctored, low code, no code kind of, cursor, coder, byte, and other tools. So tools are the enabler. Learning is an enabler. ROI will come as part of your Kirkpatrick model, but it's too difficult to have level 3, level 4, which is results and behavior change. Everything is so transient and so moving and so at the pace that we're talking about Murphy's law or Moore's law, that it's exponential growth. Everything is changing as of yesterday, and everyone is demanding talent to meet the requirement as of yesterday.
True.
So in that pace or context, I personally feel the best that we can do, or the bare minimum that we can do, is whatever learning program I'm doing, it has to be time bound. It has to be just in time. It has to serve the purpose. The way you said, no, you have to Simran the God when there's a problem. So you have to have just in time learning, you have to learn that thing to meet that requirement. So it's not that, I have a 4-hour content or 40-hour content or a 800-hour of MIT program or ISB program. It's that, is that solving me or enabling me as a tool, as a developer, to solve my problem statement. So I don't mind that my trainer or like Cognizant is talking that 30% of my code is generated through AI. It can be. There is a pros and cons. So the jobs that are getting automated, or it's augmented reality or augmented AI based kind of model, you will do 30% of job through AI, but it can't be that you are out of basics of software engineering, because if I have to have deployable, so there are 4 layers of my AI-based talent that we are trying to have. There are ones who are at the center, who are AI gurus. They're supposed to create a lot of POVs. Their next one, which is supposed to know the industry context. So they're able to contextualize that particular POV into that industry we're solving. So aviation industry or real estate or retail industry, contextualize that how that particular model can be applied there. Third one is deployable pool. So my deployable pool is currently deployed into a project. So I can pick them out of the thing and say, today you learn for 8 hours. I don't have that liberty, because either it's a time and material project wherein, these guys are staff augmented and completely billable for the number of hours. Like 8 hours they're deployed, 4 hours they're sleeping, or 8 hours they're sleeping. They don't have time to learn, or they don't have that freedom to come out of that client environment.
Right.
In that context, either if you have FPP projects, which is fixed price project model, then it doesn't matter who is doing that job. It matters that job has to be done in a stipulated time and manner. So
Right.
depending on the business model and all that we are having, these deployable pool have to hone that AI to meet the same job, but either they are able to get my margin less, in the sense that, I don't have to spend the same number of resources or number of man hours or women hour, and I'm able to get the same output. So my bottom margin is improving, or my quality is so great that, against my big five IT companies, big four consulting firm, my product is better. My solution is better off. So they are enhancing their experience. So your dashboards can be much more predictive and prescriptive, stuff like that. So either you are enhancing the experience or you're enhancing the bottom margin. So these are the metrics that I will clearly call out and carve out. And when I'm recognizing someone as the best talent, I'm giving some spot award or bonus. These things will be the measuring criteria. So innovativeness of the approach, cost effectiveness, client being at the center, and then you have convoluted to some new solutioning. And largely the end game or utopian world is that results are amazing, which is level 3, and the behavior has changed. The employees are not thinking, and they don't have this fear factor. So there is a fight or freeze.
Right.
They will either fly away, this is not my cup of tea and I can't do this is out of my thing, or they will freeze that, I don't know what to do. I'm confused. Someone has to come and coach me, or there's someone who's really fighting it out. So those kind of thing, like, 11 of those soldiers had fought like 1,000 odd, enemies in Punjab and all those areas, right? So those kind of story that these guys are there that, no matter I have resources or not, but I am going to fight it out and I'm not going to buzz down. So depending on the target audience that we are training, we need to have those kind of model, and ROI will be these 3-4 parameter: innovativeness, either bottom margin or top margin getting impacted, how faster I'm able to deploy these talent without having the liberty. So it's like this, you're changing the tires of a bus when the bus is running. And that's how the learning has to happen in the current scenario. So
interesting analogy. You're changing the tires of a bus and while the bus is running. Yeah. So perfect. I guess you have given a very, very detailed answer, and that's very helpful. That how are you measuring the ROI of learning effectiveness, learning efficacy? I'll probably take one more expert opinion on this. Whosoever wanna go, just to add to what Hemant has said, that what other parameters are there on the learning efficacy side, specifically on the AI, in the AI world, when we are doing a lot of AI enabled trainings. So anyone who wanna just build upon that? Pallavi, Manish, Aarti?
Okay, can I share? Let me try.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Maybe after Manisha.
yes. You want to go ahead, Pallavi? Okay, fair. Okay, ROI and assessments we are keeping separate. As let ROI question be dealt by Harneet with his clients when he goes to sell. When it comes to assessments, I think that's where the AI is playing a good role, and it can continue to evolve and play a good role. Right? So far, so long, the assessment used to be e-learning, mobile app learning, gamification, some puzzle they will give, you solve, then they ask question, and then that's how you complete the rounds of puzzle and you get the certificate. That's all in the name of gamification I have seen in different platforms. Right? But then there is a e-learning, MOOC, gamification, mobile learning, theory, test of the theory, various ways of testing, match the following, MCQ and all that, and then your marks, and then, okay, you know it, you don't know it. Now, that's where the AI is taking, beating them, which is today the LXP is suggesting, depending upon your profile, your career aspirations, so AI possibly of tomorrow will understand the learner as an individual better. For example, a course is running. Now, which course or problem he's spent more time? Which, the pauses, the answers, the prompts he's giving and all that. Two, they already would know, AI would know the learner style, auditory, visual, kinesthetic, or whatever. So if the employee is showing visual learning style in terms of all over modules, it will show more videos, more some things like that instead of articles, right? Or instead of discussions. So, or kinesthetic, so more activities that AI is doing. But then there is a prompt which comes, practice with AI. So recently I used in a very senior level workshop, high stake conversations. So I had designed this for the leadership team, along with my two other counterparts. Now where it was a communication between a manager and the employee, right? And it was a AI based tool which we experimented live in this classroom workshop. Now, basis the manager's answer, the employee was the AI. AI will pick up the tone, tenor, everything, and accordingly react back. Then and there itself, the manager is realizing, even if he was firm, but the AI has been able to catch his emotion, the tone and tenor. And so that's where we always had wondered, the emotional intelligence and technology are two different things, but here I saw the merge happening, very slow, gradual. And also I was surprised, and I used it. It was a big hit, right? Where they sense, how are you writing, what words are you using, right? And from there they gather your tone, tenor, emotion. Accordingly, the AI chatbot was answering as a employee, right? And then you're gauging, okay, empathy is, it is not the lip service only. Because of the tone, you were using good words, but the tone, tenor, or the slight usage of words itself, the tanas and all, it caught. And which means you have to be actually empathetic, feeling empathetic, and that's a different ball game, right? So which the second thing is, these days you have in those modules, wherever you are stuck, one is AI giving you the prompt, then it always says, want to practice more with AI. So there's a prompt, and you click there, and it will keep giving you more situational questions. Now that's where I think they can play a good role in assessment. So be it in negotiation skills or high stake conversations, the negotiations with your seniors, with clients, right? Or the feedback giving sessions to the employees, or troubleshooting when it comes to technology, technical troubleshooting. There can be even change management, multiple use cases. So only particular thing you're practicing again and again and again and again in terms of a 12 chapter thing, 1 or 2, 3 things where you get stuck. You are not supposed to repeat the whole damn thing. So that's the departure from the vanilla e-learning modules, which will only take a test once after you have read the chapter. And if you failed, it will jumble the questions up and then throw it back to you again. So here it is always reinventing, it is learning, and it is giving you different scenarios, and where you're punching, practicing, and it is catching the tones and all that. So I think that's where it's still evolving. And the merge is still happening, the emotion and artificial intelligence. And I think I'm excited to see what's the next level. So that's what I feel.
Very, very interesting insight. And I guess on the future trends of L&D, this is something which is inevitable, right? So in my definition, I call it, there is death of boring assessments and emergence of talking tests. So tomorrow's tests will be talking tests. So again, when we were designing Rabbitt, so we built this almost 4 years back, right? And we were majorly acting in UK and Australia. Now we are entering India as well. So one simple thing we said, that assessments don't have to be torturous. The biggest, and this is true across school, universities, and your hiring and L&D process because the fundamentals are similar. You're taking the same person through this journey and you're making them sit in front of a screen, and you are within few hours you're telling them they're good or bad at something, and it is very, very torturous or static. So it's death of that. And tomorrow's assessment should feel like a buddy talking to you, understanding where you're facing problem, suggesting you also that these are the helping resources you can use, and also giving your honest evaluation, not just as a gossip, but as an evaluation parameter for your self introspection and to your manager, to your admin, for you to understand where my workforce lies. I guess that's a future, I believe, and a lot of other people as well, as you mentioned. So very much sync with that. And that's what Harshit was also mentioning in the chat, that voice AI assessments and this thing. And even if GRE and GMAT, all these assessments are also trying to become adaptive and personalized. So they're calling it MAT, multimodal adaptive tests. So the tests of tomorrow, or the assessments of tomorrow, number one are going to be multimodal. As Manish was saying, that multimodal is, you are not just capturing their response, you are also capturing their video, their expressions, their voice, their tone, their confidence, and then from there you are testing the fluency, confidence, empathy, professional behavior, body language. So there are, AI is able to do that, along with us. I guess there are a couple of tools which are able to do that, and everything is evolving. We are also evolving. We are also building more accuracy into that. But I guess that's one of the futures. And second is adaptive, right? Basis your needs, it's adapting to you. There's no one shoe fit all. So even, Bill Gates said this in, I believe in 2010 or 2015, that with the new technology, which is AI, personalization at scale will be possible. These are two ironical things, right? At scale and then personalization. Standardization at scale is what industrial revolution has given us. Personalization at scale is what AI revolution is going to be giving us. So I guess very, very exciting times to be alive. I'll move to Pallavi to gather her thoughts before we move to the final segment. Yeah.
Oh, I think you had given a very interesting summary, Harneet, to this. Very exciting. I think Hemant really beautifully articulated how we look at the entire assessment as well as the ROI side, if I say from an effectiveness point of view. The way I look at AI, and for me, I think it's a double-edged sword. And in assessments, I think they are laser sharp, because if I look at a human capability and all those resources that have come in the framework of assessments till date, I think if you look at the AI ones, I think they are far ahead of time. There have been a lot of neuroscientists who have really vouched on it. They have tried and tested the models, because a human mind can process, let's say, a 3 or 4 attributes at a time, whereas in an AI enabled world, I think if you're looking at those assessments, the level of depth that you get in understanding how the training programs were, I think it's way finer and it's way polished. The second part that I also feel is, when you spoke about the trainer effectiveness, I think we have to go back to the dashboard and ask ourselves that in a country like India, because we also have to look at the context, and Hemant, thanks for bringing that. Contextualization is so important for us when we are looking at this entire, part of the training programs, because if I look at a country which is a developing country still, the introduction to a digital world, हम लोग अभी भी Facebook पे social media करते हैं या engagement active. Whereas if you look at the US kids, they have Facebook with a very different thought process and positioning. I think so. There are some really clear attributes that tell us the cultural shift also which is happening through AI. So in a training, if I say कौन सा training सबसे effective है, हमने आज तक देखा है हमारे पूरे career span में, या हमने सुना है. So we talk about possibly a military training for that matter, right? जहाँ पे, when we see a Republic Day parade, which is the most recent example that I can quote, we take a sense of pride. क्या training होती है उन लोगों की ना? Now, if I build that analogy here, then I say that is the finest of the trainings I can see, because there are these 70, 80, 500 people walking with the same rhythm, same clarity, same precision. Now, we are still dealing with humans in the same companies that we all operate into. लोगों के साथ ही काम कर रहे हैं, उतना फाइन प्रेसिजन पॉसिबल नहीं, चलो 70-80% करते हैं, हम ऐसे बात करेंगे, राइट? वी से नॉट लाइक अ मिलिट्री बट लिटिल बिट क्लोजर टू दैट फाइनेस्ट ऑफ द क्वालिटी. Now what it brings, and I will not repeat what Manish and Hemant has already brought in, but two things which are on the top of that. One is the autonomy that we give to the learner brings the finest things in them. If we are able to completely help them learn, help them understand, and create a psychological safety in the training rooms, or whether it is an online or in person, if we are able to bring that, the owner shifts to the learner. And that autonomy is what I have seen in the past, all the trainings or most of the trainings which I have done along with the AI enabled technologies. जितना आप learner को autonomy देंगे, I think the effectiveness comes up. And then effectiveness can have different parameters of attitude, attributes, skills-based attribute, behavior-led attributes, and all of that. And the second part, which I see, which is very, very clear, for me, is the follow-up parts. Like how many times the learner comes back, whether it is to a platform, whether it's to the facilitator, whether it is to a trainer, how many times, what is the threshold of connectivity or the frequency? How many times when I have sat in a training program and the person who trained me, I am going back and, connecting with him or her again. I think that's one of the areas which I feel is quite empowering when we talk about the effectiveness, because there is a cognitive schema that my brain has already now registered. And I want to go back, मैंने कुछ दमदार सीखा था उनसे, या ये मुझे वापस चाहिए. This cognitive chunk I want. So I think that's where these are two differentiators in a training effectiveness, I think, which will go in a long-term manner. Thank you. Over to you, Harneet.
Very interesting, Pallavi. And I guess truly resonate with what you have said, specifically that the more subjective layers, the psychological safety, and creating the learner delight, I guess, which is not measurable by one metric, but overall by the experience, by the behavior. And definitely this is something which contributes to a long-term success of a training program. Aarti, I'll just come to you because you also represent a DEI, right? So adding that flavor, how do you think the trainings of tomorrow should be? Very quickly before we summarize, because we're almost towards the end of this time. So next few minutes, if you can summarize and add your angle of DEI as well.
Yeah, I think I heard everybody and everybody has those great points. And I feel I have to wear sometimes those two different hats on L&D and inclusion, because what I am doing on L&D may not fit on for some of the programs on inclusion. I'll give an example. I run a program for mid-management women, key talent mid-management women. And at that level, while AI generated tools for IDP assessments do work well, but I want to inculcate that hand-holding and sponsorship and mentoring for women at that level. So I do need a human touch, a leader or a mentor to actually, sponsor them, mentor them, and guide them. While yes, AI can help them and enable them in a certain way, but I do need that role modeling to be done by a specific leader or by an external internal leader as well. So that's where the difference comes in, that while we can contextualize and bring in AI at different interventions, but maybe we'll have to play it by the ear and see where do we really need human intervention. Because sometimes people do learn when leaders are walking the talk. They learn through them. And while yes, AI can help build their development assessments and carve out their learning paths, but learning from a leader who they see day in and day out does help on that front as well. And yes, on, I feel my role is at a very important intersection, because when I curate programs at all levels on learning and for leadership development as well, I can actually include that element of inclusion, which Pallavi was also talking about, building that psychological safety. So all our programs, I try and inculcate building empathy, psychological safety as key elements. Even when you are learning a professional skill or a leadership skill, that's how you talk about. I mean, these things can't be excluded completely. So that's where I stand on that one.
Pretty interesting. And I totally relate to that as well. So I'll also share a very interesting analogy I have. Again, that's personal, right? So what I see, and this is an interesting trend. What I see is, if you see in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, most of the organization leaders and CEOs would be the ones who are doing sales. So most of the sales people, if you see, and there are equivalent studies I can quote by McKinsey and a couple of other organizations, Harvard, that the percentage of CEOs who are having a sales background in the States, in the Fortune 500 companies or globally, are very, very high. And post the internet revolution, you saw that that is also get there's another competition. A lot of CEOs of the global organizations were the ones who are having a tech background. So CTOs started becoming a potential candidate for CEOs or founders, and the sales guys still exist. It's not going anywhere. But you see that competition, you see that thing coming because the products and the systems became and this network and platforms became a very big theme post internet revolution. And one of the so in all the conferences I go to, and this was a discussion I was having in various other conferences, one of our hypotheses, and a lot of people who are part of AI World Org, is that effective leaders or CEOs or founders of tomorrow should be the ones, or are going to be the ones, it's a prediction, which are having a deep HR and specifically learning and development background. Because in the age of AI, your delivery can be automated, your reach out can be automated. So the thing which really matters is actually building a high talent density organization. So most of the CEO's role will be very, very focused on L&D thing. So I don't know how many of us relate to that, but that is one of the reasons I'm befriending a lot of L&D folks, because they're going to be the CEOs of tomorrow. And a large proportion of CEOs are going to be, that's my prediction, maybe we'll see 5 years, 10 years down the line, but a large proportion of CEOs are going to be coming from here, because I guess nobody's really focused, tech is really focusing on making their product really good, including myself, right? But when even in my organization, I see the problem is no one is really concerned about the people and uplifting people and making and it's not charity, it's a business, because making them very, very relevant at right time for the business. I guess leaders who are having that maybe have a very, very unfair advantage to win at top, and the organizations to win at top. Uh, Again, could have varying views, but this is something which is my personal opinion. Just wanted to share. And another quick takeaway and one to do, maybe a next step if after this is, so we are conducting a research on this effectiveness of basically AI in learning study, where we are taking into consideration three segments: school, higher education, and corporate education and upskilling. At Rabbitt AI, in partnership with the AI World Organization, we have developed something called as the 4D framework, and we're looking for some case studies. I'll quickly take some time to tell you the 4D framework, and this is where our AI products have also been designed. It's not owned by anyone. It's a community framework which we have built over the past 4-5 years. So 4D of AI applications, when you're building learning applications, where most of the world is heavily concerned on generating content with AI or generating assessments with AI, but that will never give you the moat. So what is a structured framework? So we came up with something called as 4D, where the first D stands for content development, or you can say you can replace content by learning and assessments as well. If you want to go niche, or if it's a superset, then it is development. The first thing is content design and development. That is for sure an area where most of the people are using AI, which is also the level 1. And since it's the level 1, it will not give the maximum ROI. And that's also a research which we are doing with numbers. But content development, but that's a mandate. Everyone has to do that, some level of design and development with AI. So building the competencies with the help of AI, building learning materials, curating learning, not curating, building learning material, designing that stuff with the help of AI. That's the first layer. And any successes and case studies and how it is leading to a final efficacy are the case studies which we are inviting from organizations, participating organizations. Second is, within this, the localization is also part of this. So when you are able to localize content with AI and serve various niches. So the example I gave where we took the insurance policy documents, gave it to the sales guys in vernacular languages via WhatsApp. It's more of content development case study as well, just to give an example. Second D stands for dynamic personalization, which is a very, very interesting area, and a lot of work needs to be done here with all us professionals. So it's not personalization, it's dynamic personalization. So there are two variables to that, if I explain. So personalization, we all understand that basis my roles, basis my needs, basis my personality, I need to get some curated content that's existent for past 10 years, probably getting implemented for 3-4 years. That's the real story. Dynamic personalization means I am not the same what I was 6 months back. So keeping that variable into the picture and creating a very personalized journey, which is personalized to role, but also personalized to my growth over time. And that dynamic personalization angle needs to be built in my learning and assessments and growth system. So let's say if I am learning Java today, right, and I am learning it in a different manner, and howsoever I learned it, tomorrow you want to teach me agentic AI, specifically, some of the OpenAI's SDKs. So what data you can pick from there basis my understanding, and how would you throw problems, how would you throw the learning content at me to make me learn better? And these systems can be designed on top of the existing LMSs. And, because these are AI layers, AI is like electricity. It embeds into everything. So, and most of the people want to own that stuff because that is something which a vendor cannot sell to you, right? It can't be standardized. It has to be very, very specific to the organization's roles, personas, and all that stuff. So dynamic personalization is the second thing in terms of how you're able to dynamically personalize content, and are you able to use AI over that. I'll also be able to share the detailed paper with you, the abstract and all, where for more details, but I'm just covering it here. So the third D is called as delivery, right? So how AI can be applied in effective delivery. This is where, Manish, the question of physical versus digital versus how much interactive can we create simulated environments where it feels like peer-to-peer learning, social learning, or how delivery can be enhanced, or Harshit, what we were talking of, the voice assessments, right? So delivery is actually different unless you giving someone a screen and a login to learn to assessments. You can give them a person to talk to, which is an AI, and that person, that mentor, takes them through the journey. So this is one example of delivery optimization. So why we have built that framework, if I take a step back, rather than just looking at the use cases, we are looking at a broader universe of these are the 4 areas which AI can impact. And then we try to fit every tool, every vendor, every strategy into one of these areas or multiple of these areas to see what it is, where it is moving the needle. So third one is delivery, and fourth one, which is the most highest layer, is diagnostics, right? How AI can be effectively used for diagnostics. My personal opinion and whatever research we have done so far, and all 400 organizations we work with, I believe no one is there yet, and not just in India, but globally. So right now, our diagnostics, we're not able to utilize the powers of AI so far in our diagnostics, and that's what Manish, you were also mentioning, that the adult learning principles, what's their learning style, what's their personal needs, and putting that diagnostics not just to award them a certificate whether they qualified or not, but using that back as a self-learning loop to improve your learning process for that particular individual. I guess that's an area where a lot of research, implementation, collaboration, POCs are required. But if you have some case studies or some ideas over there, that is something where effective use of AI and Gen AI in diagnostics, and that's a 4D framework. So yeah, Manish.
Yes, you're right. Diagnostics is a very, very important area where both, I think, human and AI would be required, because sensing so far not completely be done by technology. Two is possibly we are, this is thinking loud, possibly we are heading to a era 5-6 years down the line when I see the L&D, uh, which largely will be shaped by AI. It is something sitting in your system, computer. It's watching you, how you're writing your emails. It's watching you, how you're making your PPTs or whatever, and where are you struggling? I mean, how can there, and it is only AI can do it, right? And so we will talk about the other things which come into that. It is not shared with other ethics part of it, the other bosses or HR people and all that, because then it loses its essence. Then transparency, ethics, everything is lost. Trust is lost. But I know there is a guy who's sharing invisible, he's noting everything, and he's sensing the way I'm replying to the emails, my tones, the tenors, and whether it was the right way of answering and all that.
And then helping me, then using that data to help me
Help
and also
me.
evaluate me.
Yeah, because and within its own limited world, it is sensing in the sense, because you are answering to a mail.
Yeah.
When you are answering to a mail, then the way you are answering it can catch your emotions. Then the answer back from the other stakeholder comes, and the AI has caught it. Look, because you answered this way, look, it has spiraled into more emails and all instead of a quick solution.
Yeah.
It could have got handled this way.
Sure.
Just in time, very crisp learning, then and there given, and we are, I think, heading and ushering to that age 2, 4, 5 years now down, but it is definitely a reality which I see. That kind of diagnosing.
For sure. So just for the interest of time, I guess Hemant also has to log off. We also can connect offline for more discussion and more collaboration on this research, other areas, other discussions and all. I know Pallavi raised hand, so quickly maybe you will take your summarizing notes. And thanks a lot everyone for making it, I guess, wonderful insights. Really, we did not realize how 1.5 hours and maybe more passed through, and I hope the same for everyone. I could not see disengaged faces, at least in this learning or training exercise, and we got a lot of insights from everyone. Very, very grateful for that. Very, very grateful for everyone for taking out time. And we will all stay in touch and probably do another one with a bigger workforce, and happy to invite you to our physical meetups as well, where even more, physical in-person connections can be built. Yeah, Pallavi, maybe your
Only
summary.
one sentence.
Yeah.
One sentence when you spoke about delivery and diagnostics. I think what it will bring in future.
Sorry, Pallavi. Harneet ended with, where personal connections can be built. Dichotomy, AI and talking about personal connections. Great. So you're not so much.
I think the AI world is yet to teach us a lot.
AI.
Yeah.
Go on, Pallavi. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem, Manish. So I was looking at Harneet, when you said delivery and diagnostics, what it will bring is, my strong sense is objectivity to processes and to people, because when you're talking about diagnostics, it has a very multi-layered approach, and many times it backfires because it's coming from a little bit of subjectivity as well, because that never goes. Even when I say a data, I said, I was saying this only, plus my own thoughts goes into it. What it will bring is a good amount of objectivity, which should help humans to process things in a meaningful manner for their own journeys. So that's it. And on that note, I really would like to thank you, Harneet and Trisha, for coordinating with us and having such a wonderful Saturday, 1 hour 30 minutes, where I think we didn't realize when the time had gone. But it was interesting to hear each other's views, to make new friends, I would call it that way, where we have a shared learning, because AI अभी भी नया है. We feel कि कुछ समझता है, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है it's just the tip of the iceberg. We are yet to kind of delve deeper into that. So thanks a lot.
Before we wrap up, what places are we signing in from? I guess different locations.
I'm
You're
from Pune.
Pune?
Yes.
Yeah. Manish, you're speaking.
Noida, NCR.
Hemant?
I'm in a dual locations. I'm based out of Bangalore, but I do 15 days Noida, 15 days Bangalore.
Lovely. Both places you have huge traffic.
Yeah, one is like, good at, the infrastructure is good in North Delhi at least. The roads are awesome. Bangalore AQI is better. So,
Okay. Harshit, you're from? You're signing in
I'm from Lucknow, but I'm working in Gurgaon.
Gurgaon. Okay. And Aarti?
I'm in Gurgaon as well, yeah.
Okay. So I guess for the people are in NCR, probably a meetup is can be done super soon, and Pallavi will come to Pune soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, NCR. So at least, Harneet, you are in NCR.
So right now I am in Delhi. Yeah, I'm speaking from Dwarka.
Yes.
Yeah.
All NCR, at least whosoever can. So he does it 15 days. So
I'll be there. For post 14th, I'm there. I think there's a big event of ETHR happening, I think, on People Tech HRD summits.
And India AI Summit is happening. So for that, I was in India in Feb. So 16
Exactly.
to 19. KD Vance,
couple of-
Mark Zuckerberg is coming, and so a big summit in, I guess, in Bharat Mandapam that's happening 16 to 19th.
Yeah.
So yeah, hoping to
I'll
see
be
you
there.
here as well.
Yeah, catch up.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
thank you, everyone.
lot.
Thank you,
Harneet,
Thank
Trisha,
Thank you. Thank you guys for joining.
Thanks a lot. Lovely to be sitting. Thank you.
Thank you.